All right, let's get right into it. That check engine light comes on, you pull out your scanner, and boom, P0868. Sounds complicated, right? Maybe a little scary. But what is your car really trying to tell you? Well, that's what we're going to break down today. What this code means, what you should be feeling behind the wheel, and how you can track down what's actually wrong. So when you boil it all down, P0868 is basically a low-pressure alarm coming from your transmission. You got to think of your transmission fluid like the lifeblood of the system. It needs to be under a very specific pressure to shift gears the way it's supposed to and to keep everything from overheating. This code means your car's computer, the brain of the operation, has noticed that pressure has dropped below the safe zone. And that's the big question, isn't it? Okay, pressure is low. So what? Why is this one of those codes you really shouldn't ignore? Let's take a look at the specific warning signs your car is probably giving you right now. Yeah, see, this isn't just some abstract number on a screen. Low fluid pressure shows up in very real and honestly, sometimes pretty startling ways when you're driving. Your car is talking to you, and these are the signals it's sending. You might feel the engine rev up, but the car doesn't go any faster. That's gear slippage. Or maybe you get a big, harsh clunk every time it shifts. A really common one is a long, scary delay when you put it in drive or reverse. Sometimes the car will even put itself into what's called limp mode, where it cuts engine power to protect the transmission. And of course, the big one, that check engine light. You might even catch a burnt smell, which is a huge red flag. And this is exactly why it's so important. This isn't just about a bumpy ride. If you keep driving with low pressure, you could cause some serious, catastrophic damage. We're talking about turning a fixable problem into you need a new transmission problem, and nobody wants that. Getting it checked out quickly is absolutely key. Okay, so we know what it is and why it's bad. Now, for the detective work. How do we figure out what's causing this low pressure? Well, the smartest way is to follow the clues, starting with the easy stuff and working our way up to the more complicated things. And where do we start? 9 times out of 10, the problem is right there in the name, transmission fluid. Before you even start thinking about bad sensors or internal pumps, you have to look at the fluid itself. It's the most common culprit, and luckily for us, it's also the easiest thing to check. And this makes it super clear. Just look at the difference. Healthy fluid is supposed to be that bright reddish pink color, and it shouldn't really smell like much of anything. Problem fluid, on the other hand, is going to look dark, maybe even brownish. It'll probably have a burnt toast smell. And most importantly, check that level. It could be low because of a leak, or, it could even be overfilled. That causes problems too. This is always your first step. Now, it's not just about the level. The fluid itself could just be old and worn out, and a clogged transmission filter is a huge one. Think of it like trying to suck a thick milkshake through a coffee stirrer. It just can't get through, and that kills the pressure. And don't forget about using the right kind of fluid. Every car is different, and using the wrong stuff is a recipe for disaster. Oh, and a little pro tip. Some cars, especially certain Nissans and Dodges, actually have 2 filters, so keep that in mind. So, what if you check your fluid and everything looks perfect? The level's right, the color's good. Now what? Well, this is where our investigation goes a little deeper. We move on from the fluid and start looking at the hardware, the electrical and mechanical parts that control it all. The next most likely suspect is the pressure sensor itself. It could just be lying to the computer. Or the wiring that connects to it could be frayed or corroded. If it's not that, then we have to look deeper inside. You could have a failing pump that isn't building pressure, or maybe an issue with the valve body. These are definitely the more serious problems, which is exactly why we always check all the simple stuff first. Okay, with all these things that could be wrong, you can't just start guessing. You need a game plan, a logical roadmap to follow. And that's what this is, a step-by-step guide to finding the real issue without wasting time or money. So here's the plan. Step 1, like we've said a bunch, check the fluid, level, color, smell. If that's all good, step 2 is to get your eyes on the sensor's wiring. Look for anything obvious. Step 3, if you've got a decent scan tool, you can watch the pressure data live, see if the readings are jumping all over the place. Step 4 is for the more hands-on folks. You can test the sensor with a multimeter. And finally, step 5 is the ultimate proof. You hook up a real mechanical pressure gauge. That tells you if you have a real pressure problem or just a sensor that's lying. And see, there's a reason we do it this way. This methodical process keeps you from just throwing parts at the car and hoping for the best. It lets you pinpoint the exact cause, which is what saves you from buying an expensive sensor when all you really needed was a little more fluid. It's about working smarter. At the end of the day, a code like P0868 isn't just an annoyance. It's your car trying to communicate with you. It's a built-in warning system designed to grab your attention before a little problem turns into a huge, expensive one. Your car sends these signals for a reason. The only real question is, are you listening?